Under lockdown, people have been baking a ton. I see online the hashtag stress baking. One of the things, being home with our 2 teenage boys, they like to eat a lot of pizza. I usually make round pizzas on a baking steel, but one of their favorite pizzas is from a place called Prince Street in Manhattan. And Prince Street pizza is done in a sheet pan with a lot of olive oil, a ton of pepperoni, ungodly amount of pepperoni, very hot oven, so the crust is almost fried. It's a little bit of my own making. It's a little bit based on Gabriele Bonci in Rome, and it's a lot based on Kenji Lopez Alt. So let's get baking. 3.5 cups of flour already in the bowl. Yeast, 2 teaspoons. You don't always want this in your pizza dough, but in this one you definitely do. This one takes a lot in the dough. I use kosher salt because it's not that chemical tasting. And I have about 1.5 cups of water. I'm not going to do the whole thing yet. That needs more water. Not a lot, and at this point you really want to go slowly when you add the water. And just kind of mash it in. You don't really have to knead it, but you want to get it all mixed around, and you want to try to not have flour in the bowl. You want to try to get all the flour in the ball of dough. Tomorrow morning it's probably going to look pretty good. That's it for tonight. Thank you. See you in the morning. It'll give it some flavor, but more importantly, in a really hot oven, it's going to help crisp up the bottom of the pizza, which is the effect you want for this. Dig into the bowl. And just try to get all the dough out in one piece if you can. And don't worry about shape for now. You're not shaping it, you're just sort of gently encouraging it to go into its final shape and proportions. Now I'm going to wrap it in saran wrap, let it sit for an hour or 2, and we'll come back then. So you can see the dough, like I said, it doesn't change a whole lot, it just kind of relaxes. And I'm going to take that wrap off and see little air pockets there and there and there. You want to try not to disturb them if you can help it. Do not poke your fingers through the dough. That's the main thing, you want to be really gentle. This has been in the fridge, which I would normally say is not advisable, but for pizza it's ideal. It's got a lot of flavor. And I just drizzle. I slice them by hand because there's this thing a lot of people know about and care about, not everyone does, called Roni cupping, which is when the pepperoni bakes and it turns into a little cup and the edges crisp up and the center of it has a little pool of pepperoni grease in it. Pepperoni's starting to crisp up. You have the cups that I was talking about earlier, browning a little bit there, and I just want to let it go like 2 more minutes because that's when you really get the crispy bottom on it. Getting pretty brown around the edges. Some of the cups are starting to get a little bit crisp. So at this point, you just want to let it chill. Just let it relax for a few minutes. So that's the pizza. Tutti a tavola.